Hey, Dale, your librarian here. Reach out to me at dale.larson@utah.edu. I'm happy to help. What's going on in this guide and how can you use it for a PR campaigns class? So if you're looking for PR campaigns, you might be studying an organization or a company, or you might be looking for messages or strategies and all sorts of things. So let me give you a quick tour of how to find those things. So if you go to the Marriott Library homepage, you're going to see this main search. I'm going to call this the catalog. I made some test searches right over here for the library catalog. I linked to them. So for example, if you want public relations and case studies, if you click on that, you'll get articles on that. And you can click on peer-reviewed journals, etc., etc., etc. And you can change the keywords around. A good example, public relations and sports or football or hockey. I was just like, well, what can I do? Offensiveness and virtuousness of sports crisis. What I could do is I could go in, and instead of public relations for sports, I could do automotive or cars or motorheads. Do people still use that term? You could switch the keywords around. And all of a sudden it's finding all these different things. That's because you're the intelligent part, and there's nothing artificial about you. So it only works off of keywords, right? So if you misspell something, that's why we have that handy or in there, because we don't know how people are going to identify themselves. If you want to find books, you can narrow it down to books too. This is books from the last 3 years. Most of them are ebooks. You can access them, make sure and log into CIS or Canvas, or from the Marriott Library homepage, this log into off-campus resources, and you'll get access to those ebooks. There's some more keyword suggestions here, but let's move over to the middle. Say you're working with a particular case study. So this is a case study, and these are examples of evidence. In the 1970s, there was an automaker that made a car that, for an engineering issue, would catch on fire, which turned out to be kind of bad. How would you make evidence-based research on that? So we would get the perspective of the automaker, maybe the advertising and the marketing messages, maybe the media that they advertised in, maybe case studies and examples of the fire disaster, maybe people who are like having cheeky stickers, keep back, I'm explosive, or internal memos. We look at it as objectively as we can. Let me show you an annotated bibliographic entry that I made just from a quick search that I'd done, which I of course cited. All my citations are APA and I think are pretty correct. So we have our citation. From the article that we cited, I grabbed a quote, and you can see that I contextualize it. I didn't put the whole quote in. I just put in little bits and pieces. And then in my own words, I had a context. Annotated bibliographic entry. Let's go down further. What if we want to talk about the values of the audience, the intended audience, or maybe the values of the people that buy economy cars, or maybe the values or the perceptions or the attitudes of any number of different things. So this is just a little diagram that I whipped up with a little help from ChatGPT for the graphic. So for this particular incident that happened in the 70s, we've got the company, we've got longtime customers, maybe we've got elected officials who are just like, maybe the cars shouldn't catch on fire. Maybe there's the voices of the people who were injured in accidents. There is the automotive press, or there's the popular press, or there's the political press. And then there's the secondary aftermarket, so like the car salespeople or the mechanics or the people who insure these things. How do we do all that research? That sounds confusing. It can be. Take a librarian with you if you run stuck. These are databases. If you go to the Marriott Library homepage, databases are right here. And you can have, there's like hundreds of these. This is my favorites. So library catalog, we've already done searching in that. But there's communication, there's business stuff where they're looking to see who's buying what does Gen Z value and how can we market to that? And then there's nonprofit and open social sciences stuff. Here's some more keywords. So for this one, you'd have to add it to the advanced search of the databases. But in this one, you can change the subject, but I did cars, automobiles, and then I looked at demographics or values or behavior, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you'll find articles. Another thing that you can look at is a specific demographic or generational name or identity. So Gen Z, Zoomers, or post-millennials. And then as you find those scholarly articles, they'll be really focused, that they'll talk about something, and you can use that to add to your narrative of why a message should be made in a particular way, or a certain strategy, etc., etc., etc. This has been Daily Library.